Welcome back to the Kopitiam Council episode. And today, as I said, we're going to go to Middle East and particularly again and again revisit this very region called Gaza. So what's happening, Adi, in the last few days?
Well, I mean, we in Kopitiam Council, we cannot really shy away from the atrocities that's happening in Gaza. The genocide committed by the Israeli government really has reached quite the boiling point. Even we thought that there are no depths to there are even deeper depths to the depravity here. With the now, if everyone is noticing, the hashtag All Eyes on Rafah is trending everywhere on Instagram, on Twitter, and on TikTok with the Israeli Defense Force, the IDF, cutting off the supply lines to Rafah, which is the last refuge for Gazan Palestinians, with the standard genocidal tendencies that Israel has committed. And it's very sad to see because now I feel this is the breaking point already. This is really the last bastion and refuge for the Gazan people. This is no longer. I think for the longest time, it's no longer the. Of course, they would say it is, but it's no longer. You cannot hide it anymore. No matter how much you try to do that. This is no longer a war on terror. This is not a war on Hamas. This is a textbook genocide to destroy and completely reshape Gaza as we know it. The complete extermination of the Palestinian people there. Now we've seen that the flip flopping of a lot of the Western powers on the issue. Now we can see that this is the consequences of such complacency. And it's very sad to see because we covered this issue extensively, and we always try to find the potential vantage points for which peace can be brought back to the region. However, this seems to have been cast aside, and I think it was Qatar that said it, that every olive branch was extended to the Israeli government, and it seems to be just brushed away. So, of course, the Israelis would say that, whatever Zionist supporters would say that, if only the hostages were released back. But hostages has been released over time, and would it make sense to you that if your priority was to get the Israeli hostages out of Gaza, why would you bomb indiscriminately the entire Gaza Strip, which potentially holds the said hostages that you are trying to save? It doesn't make sense to me.
Yes, really. And what even doesn't make sense to all of us is that Israeli keep murdering all these international ads, especially the UN peacekeepers and whatnot. So, I think we come to a point, foreign journalists come to Israel and then they got shot the other day. But it's a huge issue. And then, yes, Israel, through the spokespersons, some sort of apologize for that. But now they keep doing it again. And this is just comes after the United Nations recognized Palestine as one of these member states. It was a votes. I think there were 7 countries who voted, but overall, overwhelmingly said yes. So I think this is a reaction also from Netanyahu, says that we don't have much time, so that whatever they did, I keep repeating this because there is a hidden agenda or some sort of like a goal that they want to achieve that somehow all of us don't know about. And I think we need to call them out by saying that, like you said, this is a textbook genocide. And how longer we gonna keep defending Israel, saying that Israel have the right to defend themselves? This kind of argument doesn't work anymore. I think it worked on the 7th of October, but does it work in December or even now? I think so. Yeah, Netanyahu is there's trying to finish Palestine because there is a political analyst. I think the other day I heard that he said Netanyahu, Israel wants to destroy Palestine not because of Palestine is next to them or whatever. It's because in the event of a one-state solution, they cannot be more Palestine than they are Israelis. So I think it all makes sense that why they keep doing this, why they said that, it's a hospital, we keep bombing hospital because Hamas was there. Yes, maybe Hamas tried to hide in whatever. Even if that's true, well, there's no proof that it's true. Even if that's true, it doesn't give you any right whatever to destroy not just a individual home, but a facility like a hospital. So it doesn't make sense. But until that, we know that the end game for Israel, I think, to destroy most of Gaza and to kill, I think, half of the Palestinian population, then I think they will say, okay, we achieve our target, we achieve our objective, then we would say yes to any ceasefire. Until then, it's gonna, because like you said, all only olive branch that was extended, all were rejected. What logical reasons? There was no logical reasons for any of this rejection. So yeah, I think it's sad that we see in Rafah, like Rafah. I think this October they say Rafah is the safe zone. So if you were in the north of Gaza, please go to Rafah or any of the south area. Now they are in Rafah as well. They keep bombing in Rafah, and I think there was a video, I think just recently, that all these aids that coming from all other foreign countries, the IDF and the villages of Israeli actually kicking and burning all this food that come in. There's one thing that you wasted food. It's just another, you wasting of food, of aid that people that really need it. So this is a different level of this atrocity, and I think there's a special place in hell for people like this.
Yeah, exactly. It's more, not to mention that the this whole situation, I feel, it puts a lot of pressure on even Egypt here, because usually next to Rafah, the next port of call for refugees to run away to is Egypt, and Egypt has long applied a containment strategy to avoid a huge influx of refugees, only because they are very concerned with the security threats that it has. Because within those refugees, they always had this thing that you never know that Hamas operatives might come over to recruit Egyptians, which could destabilize an already economically troubled Egypt here. But besides the point here. For me, is that like we always mention that if really the idea here was to cripple Hamas from Hamas leadership, right? Israel is in possession of Mossad, the IDF, which are one of the most sophisticated intelligence and military units, organizations in the world here. They can be any place at any time, especially Mossad. But if you're talking about taking out Hamas, right, you have forgotten that they seem to conveniently forget that a lot of the Hamas leaders aren't exactly in Gaza. They're everywhere around here and there. Mossad at one point was able to infiltrate living rooms in Argentina to drag back Nazi war criminals. Why haven't they launched an operation to take down Hamas leaders who are benefiting? Because it's a relationship that benefits them both, and it gives the just cause that it needs here. So I think, in equal measure, Hamas is also has blood on their hands as well in leading Gazan people to this sad juncture. In the end, is the leaders do all the things that they want to do. They make all the things they need to do, and the people suffer for it. Is the same for Israel as well. This is a conflict with mostly bad actors making all the bad decisions at the expense of their own people here. And I think we always kept saying ceasefire, ceasefire, and then sometimes there would be some glimmer of hope, and we hold on to that glimmer of hope that somehow ceasefire can be achieved, and then we can find some kind of peace after that. And then I would always be saying that, okay, after ceasefire is what? Now I think, what else is there to do but now just a ceasefire, right? Just to stop the chaos and the madness. But we now know at this point in time already, no matter what you do, even if you have a ceasefire, the blood is already there. There's bad blood across every part for the Palestinian people. Do you think, yes, ceasefire, yes, but will they forget the atrocities that has been committed, the scars that are left, the trauma that has been inflicted upon them? And this will breed another wave of resentment from everyone here, that would cause another surge of violence, another more animosity, and then this would hamper whatever long-lasting peace that could be achieved. This is going to set back the peace process another 50 years or even 100 years until both wipes each other out. So this is a very sad situation, not just because of what's happened now, but it destroys the promises and potential for the future, the future of stability in the region, I feel. So I think in any kind of goodwill that you may have for either. I think it's all gone, and that is the biggest shame for me, because we've lost that opportunity for a meaningful peace. And I don't think another opportunity like that is going to come for another few decades. It's going to continue on, and at the rate it's going, it's very sad to see that Gaza might be lost before anything like that actually happens.
Yeah, that's the reasonable predictions on Gaza. But another thing that I would like to highlight here is that, like I mentioned in previous episodes when we talk about Palestine and Israel, is that how Netanyahu hinges on this particularly tragedy. As long as he can prolong this, he would, until whatever, because his premiership holding on to this. He has a lot of pressure back home, and I think needs more pressure from this civil society as well, where I think there were some riots towards him the other day, but I think bigger pressure needs to be pressed on Netanyahu, because as we know, the objective of him doing all of this is to prolong his premiership. So if the voters of the Israelis, if there's any those who are still in their right mind in Israel right now, they want to go to riot and says that they're against what Netanyahu is doing, then I think by all means we need to support all this, especially when it comes to pressuring Netanyahu to back down. This is very interesting because while the enabler, United States, Biden also, he wants this to stop because he is suffering right now from his polling. His polling is keeping decline, and Trump is the, well, not unlikely, but maybe likely benefiter from this situation. So it would be a very easy election in November for Trump if this happened, and if he can stay out of prison. So there's the advantage is for Trump that Biden is not so popular, but he might end up in jail. So that's another for GOP to think about, whether they want to fill Trump or not when it comes to the presidential election in November. So I think this is at play, Adi, and we need to see, like, as in the bird's eye view of this chessboard, that why Israel keep doing what they're doing, and to talk about incident by incident, and especially now the latest one in Rafah, I think it's very important that we include certain motives from people who actually, that in favor of all the atrocities. Like, no one in their right mind would look at those videos, people, children, women being killed, and would say to themselves, like, yeah, that's the right thing to do. No one in their right mind. But why they keep doing this, it's beyond our imagination. We can only guess that it's because of political gain that they may have. But international community, I think, should follow suit. I mean, even the other day, Xi Jinping and President Emmanuel Macron says a joint statement. This is unlike pair. This Xi Jinping and Macron stay a stage, and then they says Israel should stop what they're doing. It's very, when a very different country come together to an agreement of saying same things, you're doing very, very wrong thing, but it doesn't even slightest to Netanyahu to think about the and to look the other way. So I think is there accidental. I think most being done already. Even universities in most Ivy Leagues in US now, the students are not can really study in peace, because there's in the university compound there's a lot of riots happening. Yeah, some people may say it's a peace protest, but there's a few incidents, several incidents where people actually got injured and murdered. So this is no easy feat by anyone. People who inflicted by pain, those who are indirectly or directly involved with Israel paying the price.
Yeah, it's like I'm like already like you mentioned that it's a boiling point already. That there's almost a universal discussion when it comes to this situation that's happening in Gaza. I think most people cannot escape from it anymore. There's always going to be an opinion now based on what's happening there, and it's very sad to see that there is no consensus on pushing for a ceasefire. And like even the UN, despite having majority support, majority votes to say that hey, we should admit Palestine as a member state, somehow that's when it comes to the execution, it's even though what seven, like you mentioned, seven voted against, it shows that what is the function already? We cannot turn to the international community or international platforms to say that, hey, something needs to be done. There was a lot of things happening for the UN when the US wanted to interfere in Libya, Iraq, or in Eastern Europe and even Afghanistan. But why just the ceasefire or in a long-term peace process? You can say now and then it always goes back to the whole conversation. Well, no one wants to listen. Israel doesn't want to accept a ceasefire. Then Israel would say that, oh no, Hamas doesn't want to accept a ceasefire. But this is more than just that as well. Not everyone is involved here. The international community is involved and is very much involved in this conflict here. And this puts in, I cannot at this point, right, when they say that Israel is in an existential crisis. Yes, maybe you can make the argument many years ago, right, or even last year, right. But Israel at this point have shown time and time again that they are able to defend themselves from any kind of threat, except foreign threat. We just saw, just like last month, they were able to shoot down most Iranian airstrikes, right, onto the military bases. And Iran, we cannot underestimate Iran when it comes to their military capacity or military capabilities. One of the more powerful militaries in the nearby region. So when it comes to the idea that, oh, Israel is under an existential threat from foreigners, like for people that want to see him destroyed, well, they have an overwhelming majority of arms and weaponry to ensure their survival and able to show that they can counterattack that. So if that's the excuse, I don't think that is a valid excuse anymore. They can very much defend themselves in any kind of situation. But then what about? So that means they are open to pursue an avenue or channel to have extended that olive branch, but they seem to cast it aside. So this is where I've always said that the last bastion of hope for me was that for the Israeli people to vote out the Likud party, the right wing ultra nationalist guard, vote out Benjamin Netanyahu, who has shown to be working in Jewish interests already, to prove that he doesn't care about Jewish solidarity or Jewish interests. So I think this is the last, really, for me, is the last glimmer of hope for me. Is like they vote them out, put in a leader who is willing to secure peace and negotiations and to actually work together to provide Palestine, recognize Palestine as a state that should be free, an independent state, and give them that assistance with the help of the international community. That it seems to be the last thing I can hold on to.
Yeah, I mean, not to mention also that why he wants to prolong this war and stays as prime minister is that he wants to stay away from the court cases that he had just before he become prime minister. Again, there was certainly court cases that he needs to face, but again, now he is a prime minister. He wants. That's why he says so many incentives, Adi, to keep this war and to be at helm in Israel so that he wouldn't face any of these charges and whatnot. So there's a lot for him to benefit from this as an individual or prime minister, but at what price? At the price of Gazans, at the price of the whole Palestinian. This is unheard of. And even, like some people might say, we thought Nazi is gone, but Nazi is still around in the way that they act as of today. So I think that's another, I don't want to say we talk about same all thing about when it comes to Israel and Palestine. Of course, there's a real development, but again, certain good positive move like the opening of Rafah is being undone by 2-3 steps by all this IDF that safeguarding these crossings. So it's really, really heartbreaking to see the videos of the atrocities and whatnot. And months ago, when we say the atrocities happen in North Gaza, there's still places in what we call Rafah. Now it's Rafah. Where is next? I think even the West Bank is not safe anymore. Where Hamas is not there. So if you rightly pointed out that if you really want to get Hamas, why don't you just get Mossad to get them? Now in West Bank there's no Hamas, but why are you still bombing West Bank as well? So yeah, a lot of contentions that Israel actually doing something else in a facade of the right to defend. themselves.
Yeah.
Any last remark?
Yeah. I
Yes.
mean, like, of course, we sound like we're always talking about the same thing when it comes to updating Israel and Palestine, but it's more to the fact that this is ongoing and this is an atrocity that is happening, a genocide that is happening. And sometimes I'm guilty of it as well, being complacent in forgetting that this is happening until something happens. So it's more just to remind ourselves that something terrible is happening and things needs to be done. Decisive action needs to be done, and it's just, how would you explain? We just need to keep talking. I feel like talking about it gives that illusion for me that maybe, hopefully, something can be done about it. So that's really just my personal thing with this, is that we don't want to forget that horrible things are happening around the world, and I think if we're doing this podcast, we have a duty to cover that, since we do cover current affairs, international issues. We need to remind people that this is an ongoing issue. There are ongoing situations happening out there, and hopefully solutions can be provided.
Yeah, I mean, when the Nazis were killing Jews in the mid 1900s, right now, I think the same is happening. And of course, back then there are people actually in support of what Nazis doing, and it's still the same of today. In the future, we will look back. The citizen of the world will look back like, what happened in 2020? Why these people did not do anything? Why these world leaders did not do anything? They all they do is just make speeches and say certain things, but there's no actually a solid actions from them. So that's something for our current leader to think about, what the future generation will talk about us. Why are we allowing this to happen and a minute longer? So with that, I think that's what Haffisz and Adi have for this recent development, Rafah. And this is it. If you are listening this in Spotify, please spend a few of the time to answer the Q&A down below and share to your family and friends. And if you're listening this on YouTube, hi there. Please also comment down below if you like the topic, or if you have suggestions on topic that we should cover in the future. And as usual, if you prefer our content, we have you covered as well on Instagram and TikTok. And with that, Adi and the rest of us, goodbye for now.